So unless you've been living in a bubble recently, see what I did there? You know that over the last week, there's been a stock on the market that's been extremely volatile and has caught headlines all around the stock market, all around the world. And this stock is known as Tilray, ticker symbol TLRY. So now the question is, has this bubble popped, or are we getting ready for another run up to around $300 or more per share? Let's find out. So to really answer this question and dive deeper into this, what I want to do is look at some other previous bubbles that we have confirmed and had in the market, and look at how Tilray differs from this or has similarities to this. So let's start off with the most significant bubble before this whole bubble of Tilray, and that's with the Bitcoin bubble in 2017. So as you can see here from this chart, we've peaked around mid-December and we have since popped the bubble and started making lower highs, which is a typical bearish sign in stocks. Now, what we can see here is during the stages of hype or euphoria, like people like to call it, we had the price go up exponentially here on Bitcoin to $20,000 per Bitcoin. Now, this didn't last very long and we came crashing down just as fast, if not faster, than the time it took us to go up to that price. Now, the reason behind this is because on the way up, people buy in due to something called FOMO. FOMO stands for fear of missing out. And as the price continues to go up here, as you can see, we go higher and higher. Eventually, big players start selling their stake in the stock, and this will cause a lot of selling pressure, and this will hit a lot of stop losses that investors have set as well. Now, as more stop losses are hit, the stock price falls even lower, and as that happens, even more stop losses are hit, and as you can see, this continues, and it's kind of a snowball effect, which keeps driving the price lower and lower and lower. And this, of course, triggers something that's known in the market as panic selling. So here's another example of a stock this time, which recently had a very similar move. So if you remember IQ, it recently IPO'd, and when the stock IPO'd, do you remember how much hype was around this stock? You remember how every news organization out there was talking about IQ, forums were full of IQ, investors talked about IQ, people were making videos on IQ, myself included. And now a few weeks or a few months later, we haven't really heard much about IQ. So even though the stock price went up exponentially, somehow something happened, investors just forgot about it, or maybe the bubble popped, and we stopped talking about that, and it's not as popular of a stock anymore. So let's take a look here at IQ's chart, and as we can see, it's a very similar chart to Bitcoin. We have since peaked when there was a lot of hype around the stock, the bubble popped, and we started making lower highs just like we did in Bitcoin. And as you can see here from the picture that I have on the screen, I would expect the stock to continue in this movement lower until there's another catalyst which could potentially either move the stock higher again or move it significantly lower. So you're still not convinced that this is a typical trend in the market? Well, here's a couple more examples of recent companies that have either been hyped up or recently IPO'd. Exponential move, bubble popped, lower highs. So now you must be asking yourself, what did these stocks have in common with Tilray? Tilray is different. Tilray is in a sector that's going to explode. Tilray is this, Tilray is that. There's so much hype around Tilray. Tilray is not a bubble. Well, what I'd say to that is consider the facts. Tilray was hyped up, and it didn't go up significantly based on its fundamentals. It went up significantly based on hype and FOMO. So as a result, as the price was going up, people joined in. They didn't want to miss out on this massive gain, and the price just kept moving higher and higher and higher. And one...
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? This is a test of the fire alarm system.
Until one day there was a reality check. People started selling off, algorithms kicked in, big sellers started selling, it just kept triggering stop losses, and then before you know it, the stock price dropped from $300 and is close to $100 per share now. Now, if we look at the charts for Tilray stock, we can see a very, very similar situation developing compared to these other charts that we looked at. So as you can see here, we peaked at around $300, at exactly $300 I believe it was, and now the stock is closer to $100. So can it go higher? Sure it can. If hype kicks back in, there's another big news article on the potential of this company. Yep, people can start buying in, FOMO might kick in again, and we might go all the way up to $300 or past that even. Can it go lower? Most likely. You gotta remember that this has moved on speculation and hype, so a lot of that is usually so usually when that happens, it's really, really overvalued. And if you look at the fundamentals of the business, this is very clear. But what I think will most likely happen is similar to what I've drawn on the chart here, where you can see kind of a slow trickle off over the next few months. So similar to other stocks that we saw, I think that we've actually peaked, at least for now, in Tilray, and I don't think that we're going to see that much hype come back into this stock, at least the short term, and enough to push it back to $300 or even past that per share. So as a result, my theory is that we'll actually start moving sideways now, similar to what Bitcoin did, similar to what IQ did, similar to what the other charts that I showed did, and we're just going to kind of continue tapering off until there's a major catalyst that comes out for this company. So now the question is, if you were one of the investors that bought close to the top, close to $300 per share, what should you do? So unfortunately, this is a tough situation, and I know when a stock is up 100% in a single day, that's almost never seen in these larger companies, that you want to jump in, you want to throw a bit of money in there, and you want to ride that wave up, make a quick buck, and then sell off those shares. But that doesn't always work out, and I hope that this was a lesson first and foremost that hype usually does not end well if you buy close to the top. This is also a great lesson on how quickly sentiment can change. 1 hour or one day we can be moving higher, doubling the stock price. The next day we could cut the stock price in half. And why is that? It's because of fear, because of sentiment changing, because of hype dying down. So if I personally bought near the top, full disclosure, I did not take any position in Tilray, so I'm completely on the sidelines here. But if I did buy close to the top, I would most likely cut my losses right now and move on. Looking at my thinking and why I would have made a purchase if I did make a purchase, it would have been on hype, it would have been on FOMO, it would have been on the potential to make a quick buck. And now that all three of these things are kind of dying down and I'm down significantly potentially on this position, there's nothing really more left except for the fundamentals of this stock. And if you look at the fundamentals, like I said, I'm not even going to bother showing them on the screen. It's just absolutely pathetic. They're making a few $1 million here and there in revenue, and the company's valued at close to $10-20 billion. Doesn't make any sense at all. So in my opinion, of course, it's an extremely overvalued stock. And sooner or later, like maybe even right now, investors are going to start looking at the fundamentals of this, and that'll actually push the stock price even lower potentially than where we are right now. So now, I don't want you to get me wrong, I am a short-term swing trader as well, and I don't think that this was necessarily a bad stock to take advantage of with all the hype that was going around it. In fact, if you did play this successfully, I do want to hear what your entry price was, what your exit price was, and like how long you even held this stock to get those massive gains on it. I'm sure a lot of you out there played this. I'm sure a lot of you out there were successful on this, but unfortunately a good chunk of you are also not successful with this if you bought close to the top. But what I do want you to learn from this stock, even if you were successful, is that a stock like this comes out every so often. There's a lot of hype around it. There's a lot of exponential growth and potential and news and everything surrounding it, which causes the bubble. And then eventually that bubble pops, reality kicks in, and then these charts typically suffer the same fate as we saw at the beginning of this video. Once in a while, this could actually keep going for quite a while, and the bubble might not pop as soon as we think. So I just want you to know that really anything can happen out there in the market, but just be cautious and just position yourself accordingly. I don't want you guys losing all of your gains just because you got greedy and just because you bought into FOMO and the hype and all of that stuff that usually novice investors fall victim to. So remember just to be smart with your trades. Day trading and swing trading can be successful if you manage your risk properly. I know there's sayings out there that you will never be successful as a day trader or never be successful as a swing trader. And I don't think that that's true. And I think if you manage your risk properly and you're consistent with your strategy and your emotions, that you can be successful with these short-term strategies. And also what I'd say is stick to more blue chip, well-known stocks that have proven their fundamentals. Don't go chasing hype stocks like Tilray. Don't go chasing IPOs like Tilray. Don't go chasing just because everyone and their uncle is buying the stock. You may have gotten lucky with Tilray, you may have gotten lucky with NEO, you may have gotten lucky with IQ, but guys remember, this is a pure gamble that you're doing, especially if it's a IPO stock, because you don't know what the fundamentals are over a longer period of time. And you don't know if this company is actually going to be able to sustain itself at the valuation that it's currently at, based on where it's at right now. In the end, if you keep gambling this way, the house will eventually win, and the house in this case is the stock market, and you will end up losing more than you make. So I hope this video was insightful to you guys. This is my psychological thinking behind stocks like this. I love to just sit on the sideline and just watch things that are going on. Of course, make videos on it because it gets the views. People love to see these hype videos. But in these videos, I do want to leave valuable lessons in there where you guys can learn something and hopefully not fall victim to traps that are out there in the stock market. Remember guys, we do have a new Patreon page if you do want to support the channel or you want to see my private investing portfolio. You can check that out. If you want to join the VIP group as well, that's the link in the description. So thanks for watching guys. Hope you enjoy this. Hope this taught you something and hope this gave you some insight as to how hype stocks and bubbles work. Either way, thank you for watching. Don't forget to invest positively and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.